Question: are you sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck? And did you watch today's video? If you didn't, I strongly suggest you do, because tonight's audio broadcast is about the continuation of part one. You're more than welcome to hear this already and then go back. You could do it either way. Back in a minute. Hey, this is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. How you doing this evening? Welcome to my night radio show. It's a radio style broadcast of which you do not really see me on video like you do Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. Eastern time. Listen, let's continuously get into this paycheck to paycheck club thing. Do you really want to remain a member of the Living to Paycheck Society? I'm sorry. I think it is a stressful way to live. I know it's a stressful way to live. And in my heart of hearts, I would imagine anyone listening who is living that way right now wants to break that cycle. I know that you might be bombarded by things that you see on TV or magazines, stop living paycheck to paycheck. It almost sounds like I don't know, like a mantra of some sort. Excuse me, please. Sounds almost like a mantra of some sort, and you're almost numb to hearing it. But I have some good news for you. Now go back to the first part. If you didn't see the video, go back to it. I strongly suggested. But continuing on with different methods, what we could do. What we need to do is bridge the gap. There is a gap between the time you get your pay the first time and the second time. Let's suppose you get paid twice a month. And then all of a sudden you find yourself, we'll call it broke, for about 1 week to go before your next paycheck. Ask yourself, why is that? What do you do? Are you familiar with where is your money going? A lot of people really don't know where their money goes. It's like any which way the wind blows. That's a problem. And that's a bigger problem than really people realize. But we can fix this. We can get knowledgeable. We can get empowered. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is analyze your paycheck and analyze your expenses. Sort of like working out a little bit of a paycheck budget, if you will. Do you find yourself in the negative before the time is up? In all probability, the answer is yes. But what are you going to do to plug in the gap? You see, that's the question, and that's the problem. First thing you're going to do is immediately cut out all expenses that are unnecessary. Cut out all unnecessary expenses. And you're going to dip into your emergency fund. I'm going to presume that you have an emergency fund. And an emergency fund at the moment in time doesn't have to be totally complete. For example, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, but you need $40 to get from Monday to Friday, for example, then that means you might have to take $40 out of there to get through it. All right. So little things add up. It's the little savings. Let's start with the little savings. Let's start from the beginning of the month before you even ever have a problem. Let's avoid the trap. Let's avoid the problem. Okay. And an easy way to do that is with meal planning. I cannot emphasize these two words enough. Meal planning is essential. Meal planning is budget planning in the kitchen, if you will. Getting to know what you have, making the best and the most of what you have, not making duplicate purchases of things you do not need, not tying up funds in places where it doesn't belong. Next, you need to consider bulk cooking on the cheap. I find, isn't it a lot easier to make a whole box of pasta that might last you a couple of days, depends on your family size. For a family of two, one box of pasta can last a couple of meals very easily. But if you need to use 2 boxes of pasta, so be it. But every time you make something in bulk like that, that's the time that you get out all of your plasticware and you're saving food savers, and that's the time in the beginning of the month. Okay, that's what I always would refer to as the fat cat time of the month. That's the time that you start saving. Bulk cooking bulk saving, meal planning. It sounds like a drudge. It's really not. Because when you know that you are set for the month, that makes life a lot easier. And you're not going to be tending, a lot of people have holes in their budgets because what are they doing? They're buying stuff outside. They're buying fast food. Fast food is not necessarily cheap food. This is where people make a huge mistake many, many times. So let's go back to our meal planning ideas. Start that at the beginning of the month. Another thing that happens sometimes in the beginning of the month is that you accept invitations to movies and things that I know we need to do these things, step out, go places. I get that. But who's to say that you can't step out and do things that doesn't have to cost you so much money? Be conscientiously aware of those little invitations. And I know it could be embarrassing sometimes to turn down your friends when they ask you to go to a movie or something. But if it is not realistically in your budget, you just can't. You can't do it. Sometimes you just have to say no. Sometimes you just have to disappoint. Just saying, just saying. And always live within your means. Don't try to impress the Joneses or the person down the block buying the best expensive shoes that you hardly even wear. And that's another thing, saying yes to a lot of occasions when you really don't have the money. Do you send out a lot of birthday gifts that you really can't afford? I'm not saying deprive yourself of being kind and nice and wishing people wonderful birthdays. Wish your friends and family a happy birthday. Definitely buy a card. You don't have to buy the $8 card. That's those to me are just silly, in my opinion. Did I say they're not beautiful looking? Yes, they are. They are. But you can express a loving thought in a handwritten note. You could express a loving thought in, let's say, a less expensive stationery card. These are the wallet leakers. These are the things that make it hard when you're living paycheck to paycheck. Now, the next thing is not so simple. The next thing is jump into doing that side hustle or think very seriously about, well, maybe getting a better job. Yes, I know change is scary. This is what holds people back. People are afraid of change, afraid of the unknown. You could also and always ask your employer if there are any extra hours at the place where you work. You might be happily surprised. Get into something that brings in a second or third income if that's what you need. Enlist the help of your older kids too. If you have like practically adult children living in your home, certainly they could help with a part time job and make household budgeting a lot easier instead of more difficult. There really is a lot of ways that you can get out of living paycheck to paycheck, but you have to build yourself up slowly but surely. You see, it's the consistency. Be consistent. Do the good things consistently. Do those things consistently, and you'll be happily amazed. And hopefully, this video, audio video too, will be of some help. We'll talk about more about this stuff in the future. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate every single one of you. And I'm going to close out the show. And I'm going to find my outro. Where are you, outro? Be right back. Have an amazing, fantastic day. You can quit the Paycheck to Paycheck Club. Take good care now, everyone. Good night.